You've heard about Dark Souls? More times than like Praise the Sun! Which is a lot. So let's cut the crap. The game? Good. The bosses? So when the time came to add bosses to my own game, I knew I had to do a good job. And somehow take all the juice from Dark Souls and just squeeze it in my game, just jam it in. There is only one teeny weeny weeny problem with that. That is, my game looks like this. If you've ever tried to put highly dexterous bosses into a strategy game, you know that it's easier to introduce your big titty goth girlfriend to your grandma on Christmas. But since I wanted highly rewarding and challenging bosses in my game, I had to figure out how to make the two go along together somehow. The main idea is to scrap what you think about the bosses and focus on what the player thinks and how he interacts with them instead. I separated the skillset required for beating the bosses into two categories. First is your knowledge about the boss, that increases each time you fight him. That is easy. Second is skill. In Dark Souls, it encapsulates the "get good" phrase. It means dodging bosses' attacks while putting in the damage yourself. This one will be a real challenge. In strategy games, we cannot test the player on roll reflexes or timing attacks. The main challenge will be to design the bosses in a way to leave some space for that sweet skill expression. So, we will focus mainly on that. To begin with, let's showcase the boss, star of today's show. Security Mechator is the last opponent of the tutorial and an introductory boss to the game. Make this behemoth walk on a relatively small map of Primal Fray would be an impossibility, so let's instead make him a stationary boss. I've come up with a plan to go around the limitations I've mentioned before about skill. If the player cannot dodge boss's abilities, I will enable him to interact with them in other ways instead. Mechator has giant arms, perfect for swinging. I have crafted his arena to be divided into left and right space. Each time he attacks, he will choose either left or right swipe. With a little knowledge, a skilled player may bait his attack to occur on the side that is advantageous for him, and protect his powerful squishy who deals damage instead. Two attacks are not enough though, especially so that the boss has no way of hitting enemies on further away hexes. That's why I decided to add him a rocket attack for good measure. If the player stays too far, he will unleash this powerful ability, covering way more area than his other attacks. This way, a fight becomes a juggle between three main areas targeted by a boss. And skill may be expressed through planning and moving between them in such a way to manipulate the boss to do what we want. It is especially satisfying if we make it kill its own allies. And is a cool representation of what this initiative-driven mechanic allows us to do. It may not look like it, but this encounter is in fact a design kit stolen directly from Dark Souls. It has one main design difference, however. It is impossible to win the fight hitless. It would not only be really difficult to allow that to happen in a fight without breaking it completely, but it also serves as a reality check. In Primal Fray, your units start every fight with health left from previous rounds. If you do not have a healthy enough team, you just won't manage to get through the boss. It is a final test, to see if you have played the whole biome correctly, and the puzzle presented by the boss is just a cherry on top. The boss I have shown you today is just the first one designed for Primal Fray. There will be 5 main biomes in the game, and since there will be at least 5 more bosses to be made. This one was a testing ground, but the next ones will be really difficult to beat. Now when you have seen the final result, do you think it resembles Dark Souls in a way? Let me know in the comments. If you are interested in game design topics like this, you will love this video in which I explore the topic of AI in video games. Watch it if you want to know how units in my game operate.